Hi, this is Peter,
Hi, this is Sandra,
and we are medievalists.net.
and today we're talking about another fantastic Game of Thrones episode.
Yes, this is episode 5, and it was a really kind of exciting kind of episode, and it gets off to a very interesting start with the death of Renly.
So, what did you think of the shadowy mist?
Well, it came off as a really unexpected kind of scene. Like basically, him and Kat are having this conversation, and it looks like it's about to end. And then all of a sudden, like this mist comes in, this smoke comes in, and just kills Renly. Like as he's nice dagger through the chest, and. We get it was a kind of a surprise, and I think I like that actually how that kind of magic worked. It's this kind of assassination, and it was kind of like a spirit. So I can see. So I'm more pleased than I was when I saw the ending of the last episode where it was given birth to. But
Yeah, I like that it kind of relieves Kat of her duty to swear Rob's fealty to Renly, because she was going to basically make Rob swear fealty to Renly, and then now that Renly's out of the way, Rob can still vie for being king.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of miss Renly. I liked him as a character, and I liked how the fallout of this was. We have a couple of scenes where people are talking about how to do revenge. Renly's wife and Renly's lover they both have this kind of like scene where what are we gonna do? Are we gonna stay behind and fight King Baratheon? And they say and they basically get convinced that you won't win if you try and stay. You'll get slaughtered way before that. All of Renly's men are going to switch sides, switch allegiance now, anyways. They flee, as do Kat and her, and this kind of a protector that her name was again Brienne, and they both have these kind of scenes, and they very much were similar scenes. But I liked how they talked about when can they do revenge, like what it means for them, like how they are going to accomplish that. So I was kind of enjoyed that scene, and I liked how Brienne pledges allegiance to Kath, only on the promise that she says when the time is right, she'll let him go after the king, so and get her revenge.
And Kat promises to protect her.
Yeah.
In return, it's like she promises that she's welcome in her home, and she'll protect her, and so it's like a mutual pledging of fealty.
Yeah, it's kind of I really like that kind of where it's a pledge that goes two ways. So.
And then we have Arya, who is as a cupbearer for Lord Tywin, and she gets to overhear him talking with his men about her brother and everything that he's planning to do and what he thinks of him. And it was a really interesting scene. I mean, she can't get much better than that, right?
Yeah, like I think it's kind of where I thought it would go, where she'll be the kind of the eyes and ears that we see those scenes through, and see that other side of the kind of the conflict. So.
Do you think he's on to her?
I don't think he knows he's Arya. He's kind of already figured out that she's a northern girl. Everyone seems to be figuring out that she's a girl. So, but again,
that was a tense moment.
Yeah, like and I guess Arya and I guess the training that they get at the earlier stages where where Ned was training them. You have to know who this is and who that is, and so it pays off. So, and I like that little. That was a little kind of neat little pit.
Yeah, and then she runs into one of the prisoners who she helped escape from burning to death in the cart, and as repayment of that debt, he vows to kill 3 people, and he sort of keeps his promise, because at the end of the show you see he's knocked off one of them, which was the tickler, the torturing guy.
Yeah, okay. don't really get why that scene's there. I think like there's a nice opportunity there of the other two people he might kill, but he seems to be. There was a sense of a little magic in it too. A little like I'm going to be able like I'll kill them, and I kind of thought he would. It would be a kind of a very weird and not he was just was going to throw a guy off a tower. I thought, oh, maybe this guy got some sort of powers or stuff like that. But so I'm kind of wondering where that's going. I'm not sure. So
Yeah, it was interesting. So I thought her scenes were interesting, and I think it's I think there's more. There's going to be more to that. There's a reason that they're putting this in. They're not just putting in it for the fun of it. There's something behind it. And then we have Danny and Karth, and she's, living in the lap of luxury with her dragons, which I thought the CGI was pretty cool.
mm-hmm.
I didn't find it too campy. And she's captured the interest of Zara Zoan Daxos, the one of the 13 of Karth, and she's introduced to the warlocks, and she's given all this luxury, and he's like, I'll help you if you marry me. And I thought that whole thing in Karth was interesting.
I think I see like I think they're trying to develop it that Carthage can be a dangerous place in its own way. Like although it's very prim and proper and rich and filled with nice gardens and things like that, it's there are lurking dangers in that. There's kind of magic in there, kind of some weird characters. So
Well, you see Sir Jorah is approached by some masked woman, and she's like,
yeah,
you don't know me, but I know you,
oh,
and
yeah.
I know where you come from and what your business is, and it's just kind of like a sort of a mysterious kind of
Yeah, that was
place.
that was a great use of a costume to really kind of set out that this person is very different. It was like that was really kind of an interesting way of looking at it. So very good fantasy, I got it in that sense. Like that's it set off. This is a unique like you don't see that like even like anywhere like in regular.
It's funny because someone commented in the comment section that Karth comes off as kind of Star Trekky with the costumes.
Yeah.
It does. And thinking about Danny walking around with Zara Zoan Daxos or whatever, and he's in this like exaggerated costume, and she's in this blue gown, and there's like people in the market with sort of like a fancy looking bag over her head with the design on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of it is a little Star Trek. I expect Picard to walk around the corner and or an away team or something. It made me laugh. I thought that was like an awesome comment. It was a bit. Karth is a bit campy, but it's interesting. So
I like how Daenerys still also have to kind of deal with her people, even her servants. Like she has to kind of show that those bits of leadership where she's kind of telling them what to do, giving subtle hints about go sleep with some guys, find out what's going on. But I really I liked those scenes. I enjoyed it a lot.
I like her scenes because she's a very ballsy character, but she's a good leader, and I always contrast her with Cersei, who's a horrible leader who tries to be ballsy and stuff, but she's just really running scared. So I always enjoy Dany's scenes because they're just always interesting and phenomenal. And then we have like little bits on the show, like Jon, like out in the north, and he's decided to become a ranger and leave. And Sam's like, "I'll be your steward. You go range."
Yeah, I guess like those scenes are a lot of some of these scenes are kind of set up for what's going to happen next week, where like it looks like John's going to get some action and maybe go out to kill these wildlings or this outpost, and we might see him because they were basically just kind of sitting on this snow-capped mountain, being cold and kind of talking about what's out there,
Yeah, they find a fire and they're going to investigate.
Yeah, like so, like I think I could, I see that as a kind of John has to get out there beyond this big group he's in because he can't really, do anything as an individual character. Like he's we can't see him for what he like the heroic character he is if he's going to be like just following along with like 30 other guys. So.
Yeah, and he's finally going to get a chance to do what he really wants to do, which is to be a ranger like his uncle Benjamin Stark. So he finally's gotten the permission to go ahead and do what he really wants, because he never wanted to be running around and being a serving steward to the Lord Commander. But yeah, and then like there were a lot of smaller scenes that were just setups, like Davos' scene with Stannis telling him, look, the Red Woman, people are talking, this is what that looks like. Then a small scene with Theon trying to prove he was ballsy. There are a lot of small scenes, Tyrion, but I mean, for the most part, the show this week was sort of centered around, Arya, Dany, and the whole thing with Renly being murdered, which I thought I just thought the show came in with a bang and kind of went out kind of quietly.
Yeah,
it's like pow, and then
yes, the second death wasn't as important as the first death, so like, I think in the end, like the big topic is Renly's death, and it sets out like that even the kings can are fair game, like anyone can die in this show, so the not that we didn't know that from season 1, but the kind of suddenness of his death kind of will keep people on their toes, right? Viewers, like who can last, who will survive, who will gain the Iron Throne. So.
Yeah, and there's a contender now that's out of the mix, so now there's just a couple of them left, and they can, or 3 of them, I think. So it should be really good, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode, and hopefully it'll be another, like, bang-up craziness with a murder right in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That always makes a good episode when somebody gets axed. So join us next week for another exciting episode of Game of Thrones.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.